The studio. This is Carla. Just give me 1 second. I want to make sure that everything's kind of leveled here, and you can see that it really isn't because I had to turn my thing to get it to actually go live. So just bear with me for a second. I know I'm moving this phone around. I just want to make sure everything is straight and even and we're not all kind of lopsided. Do this really quick. Bring this down a little bit. I got one of these little levelers that I'm using just to kind of level things out so things don't look. So I'm looking straight down, basically, is what I'm trying to do. Okay, so we're good now. So again, this is Carla. Welcome everybody back to the studio and welcome to another episode of Throwback Thursday. So this is posting a little bit late. It's been one of those weeks that I know that lots of other people experience this where your mojo has kind of like got up and left, and something as simple, as creating just two cards kind of became a little hard to figure out. Now, what I'm using, I am going way back. I am going back to around the time when I joined Stampin' Up back in October of 2013. And this particular stamp set, Warmth and Wonder, you can tell how old it is just by the green stripe that we had on our stamp sets. Warmth and Wonder, it's a standalone stamp set. It is the cling red rubber stamp set. There are no dies or punch that coordinate with this. Maybe there's like an oval punch that probably coordinates with this. I tried looking for dies that would be this shape, but the oval's a little bit different. So that's the only thing I can think of that may coordinate with anything. Um, but this stamp set, it was a hostess set. So at the time when you placed an order, if you hosted an event or if you personally placed an order that was $150 or more, this was one of the stamp sets that you were able to choose from. I believe that it was in the that 2013 holiday mini catalog that this is where it's from. So for the month of November for my Throwback Thursdays, I've kind of gone way back, kind of like back to the time when I joined. So I kind of looked through that old catalog. I do have not only a printed catalog, but I also have the digital catalog as well. And I kind of pulled things out of between that catalog and the annual catalog from back at that time, and just kind of randomly chose a couple of things to use for my Throwback Thursdays for the month of November. So this is the one that I chose. My very first card is a very quick and simple and easy one. And then the second one that I have done, I got my inspiration. It was actually a card that I saw on Pinterest, but what I did was I used one of my color cube cards and I went with that color combination on that one. So it's kind of an interesting color combination, but I think the card came out pretty cool. So let's get started with this. Now, again, I want to apologize that, if you're watching this right away, usually I have my Throwback Thursday videos done and posted, it's scheduled and posted to go um, to, how do I want, it's not go live, but to go public at 5 a.m. on Thursday mornings. However, like I said, the mojo for kind of trying to come up with the projects, it took a bit. I worked during the week, so kind of being tired, that'll do it to you. So yeah, this is a little late on actually posting, but It is kind of late at night when I'm doing this, which that's not good either because I should be asleep. But the really bad thing is that tomorrow is my Friday Night Live, and I'm going to be using the Gingerbread Man bundle. I have not gotten the projects figured out for that yet. So, one of the things I hate doing is, the last minute and the day of when I'm doing a live. That's a bad time to be coming up with the projects and trying to get that all done. But I'll get it done. I I find a way, I'll get it done. So, all right. So let me tell you what I have here. So for my card base, this is Island Indigo. So this was a color that retired a few years ago, quite a few years ago actually, and it was actually one of my favorite colors. It actually still is. When this retired, I was pretty sad that this had retired, but I still have a stash of it, and it coordinates with the designer series paper that I'm using as well. So 8.5 by 5.5, scored a 4.25. I have a piece, this designer series paper. This too was from back at the time of 2013, that holiday mini. The Winter Frost specialty designer series paper. There's Bermuda Bay, another color that I really like that had retired. Coastal Cabana, Island Indigo, Pool Party Smoky Slate, and at the time it was Whisper White, not Basic White. So on this paper, you have most of these double-sided sheets are um, they're just they're not specialty, but there are two sheets that do have like the silver foiling in it. So this paper was actually in a little like a little like book type of packaging, and that didn't have any foiling in it. It was just just the regular pattern. So but this is one of those specialty patterns. You can kind of see that silver foiling in it. This measures 5.25 by 4, and then I have a scrap piece of basic white that I'm going to stamp my image on, and then I'll punch it out. And then with my 2-inch, I believe it's 2-inch, hold on. Yes, my 2-inch circle punch, I punched out a piece in Island Indigo. All right, so let's take our card base and let's fold and burnish that. And then on my designer series paper, I'm going to bring in, let's see, what is this? This is the white woven ribbon, a 1/2 inch wide. This was an online exclusive item, and recently it had gone on the last chance list, and I did look before I'm recording this, and it is sold out. So I want a piece about this long because I'm going to wrap it around this piece of designer series paper. And let me get my little pin on here and put that aside. Okay, and then I'm going to take my Scotch tape and we're going to tape both of these ends to the back. So I want to try and get this centered like so. Kind of fold this over, put my tape down, kind of hold that, and then let's get the other end. Again, I want to try and get this even. Okay, wrap that, and you put the tape on there, hold that. Okay, now I know that I do need to get another refill of my what is this called? Stampin' Seal. When the camera's rolling, you forget words. Math becomes hard, and sometimes you end up making up words too, so it's always interesting on how a live or pre-recorded video is going to come out. All right, so let me, some of the glue goobers are on the case, so I want to get that off of there. Oh, good enough. Okay, and then let's check this one. Yeah, there's a lot of glue on there. So I can get that off my hand because this stuff loves to stick. Okay, and then let's take, put that in there like so. Okay, so now, okay, we've got to advance it a little bit. We'll add some there, there, and there. And bring in my card base and center it. Yeah, that's not what I wanted you to do. All right, so let's try this again. I'm going to stick that down and get the glue goober off of my hand. I don't have it all over everything. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Now, what I'm going to do is, so this was a technique that it's been around for a long time, using our Stampin' Right markers. These are not the Stampin' Blends, which are the alcohol markers. These are the ones where you have, well, this is one of the older ones. This is Island Indigo, so it had like this fine tip on one end, and then it has the brush end on the other side. Now this again is been long retired, but these three colors, Garden Green, Real Red, and Early Espresso, these newer ones, the brush tips were changed a little bit, and then on the other end, your bullet tip is, it's just like it's a little bit bigger. Now the thing is with these markers are being retired. So the red and the garden green, both of these are in the Regals collection. Before going recording, the Regals are on low inventory. I think they are marked down. The Early Espresso is part of the Neutrals collection. So Stampin' Up! Kind of made a couple of changes. So really the purpose with these markers, other than journaling with them, they worked really, really well on your red rubber stamps. As far as like what I'm going to do with this card, I'm going to take this image and I'm going to use my markers to color like my cardinal, my little berries I'm going to do in Real Red, my holly leaves, and this branch is going to be in Garden Green. Was it the berries and the cardinal? Those will be in Real Red, and then this little Noel I'm going to do in Island Indigo. So the thing is that basically those markers were good for doing this technique on the red rubber. Now, as far as doing it on the with the photopolymer stamps, I mean, it works, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work the same. Um, it does, the ink takes to the stamp a little bit differently. So the thing is that Stampin' Up! Has done, and it kind of started with our November online exclusives, that now they're phasing out all of the cling red rubber stamps, and all the stamps going forward are going to be photopolymer. So any of the cling stamps that are currently in our online exclusives or are on the last chance list, any of them that are still in our annual catalog, those are going to remain until those catalogs are done. Now, will some things carry over? It's possible. But then again, once I think the stock is kind of depleted on that, or when it retires, then all the stamps that they're going to make going forward are all going to be photopolymer. So, being that the red rubber is going away, they also are doing away with the markers as well. So, kind of sad about that. These markers, like I said, they recently updated them with new tips. So the brush tip's a little bit differently is a little bit different. I think it's a little more sturdier than the ones we had before on our older markers. Um, but yeah, so now those are retiring. Like I said, the only marker that you can get individually is the basic black. All the colors come in a collection. So again, the Regals, which contains the real red and the garden green, that like I said, I did check and it was on low inventory at the time that I'm recording this, which is November 13th around midnight. I know it's kind of late and I shouldn't be doing this so late, but yeah, it's been a week. And so, just kind of like worn out. I think, we've had our time change, our daylight savings time change. So now when it hits like 5 o'clock, it's like it's dark outside now. And I can tell you, I don't really like driving in the dark, especially going a bit of a distance. Normally, like, if it's during the daytime and no bad weather, it takes me like about, I want to say probably about 45 minutes to drive where work is. And I got to do that 3 days of the week. So, you know, it is kind of tiring, but I can tell you that it's a lot different when it's dark out. And I don't mind driving in the dark, but as long as I'm pretty close to, from home and I don't really have to get on a highway. So, yeah, I got to figure something out. I mean, a couple of the days I was actually getting up earlier and I was getting there earlier and then I was also working through my lunch so that way I could leave an hour earlier, and then by the time I would get back here, then it would just be getting dark because it would be just before 5 o'clock or around 5 o'clock by the time I got back here. Okay, what I'm doing is the Noel. I colored that using my Island Indigo. These holly leaves and this branch I am doing in my garden green. Now, as I'm doing this, this is going to dry, but I'm going to huff. Breathing on this is going to reactivate the ink and then I can stamp it down. All right, then I'm going to take my early espresso and I'm going to do his legs. Legs and his little feet. The image is kind of small. Okay. And then the berries, we're going to do in red. Yeah, so I got to figure something out in regards to that. Mondays and Fridays, I work from home. And it's like, it feels like I'm getting to sleep in on those days because I don't have to get up as early. And it's quite nice, actually. Okay, and now I'm going to do my cardinal. So I'm just going to do the whole cardinal. Now I'm not, these little dots that go around this image, I'm not going to color those. Because what I'm going to do, once I stamp this, I'm going to use my 1 3/4 inch circle punch to punch out this image. Because again, I couldn't find an oval die or a punch to punch this out. Okay, so let me hit the berries again. And one more. Okay. So now I'm going to huff on this. To kind of activate that ink. And I'm going to stamp it. And there's our stamped image. So when you have your red rubber stamps and you have an image and you would like to stamp it using multiple colors, this is the way that you achieve it. Now this will not work by using your Stampin' blends or any alcohol markers, because what that's going to do, you're not going to get that ink off of your stamp if you use the alcohol markers. Plus, not only that, the ink from the marker is going to dry. There's not going to be a way to, re-moisten the ink on there. So yeah, you cannot do this with your Stampin' blends. All right, so now I'm going to take my let's see, 1 3/4 inch circle punch. Let me move this out of the way. And we'll punch this out. Just center it. Punch it out. And let's put this away. Oops. Oh, this one's not going to lock. The little locking mechanism on it kind of broke, so it won't latch. Okay, so now I'm going to take this image, I'm going to adhere this to my Island Indigo circle. And again, that's punched out using a 2-inch circle punch, and my image is a 1 3/4. Now, both of these punches are actually available. They are in the online exclusive, so you're not going to see them in a catalog. They will be on the online website. In the description, I have a list of all of the supplies, and there is a link for those. That'll take you, when you click on the link, it'll take you right to the online store. I don't think they are on back order. I didn't see that earlier, so I think they are still available. All right, and now I'm going to take this and kind of have it straight. So my Noel, I want that kind of straight. And then I'll press that down. And then for my embellishments, I'm going to use this for both of my cards. Just our very simple rhinestone basic jewels. I love our rhinestones because I find that they are just really, really sparkly. They're simple and they're clean, and they'll work with really any of your projects. So for this one, there's 3 different sizes in this, so I'm only going to use the smaller ones on here, because in this you get a lot more of the really small ones than you do the the other 2 sizes. So since there's plenty of them, okay, where do I want to put this? I want to put this like right here. Okay, so there is my first card. So a very clean and simple card. Let the designer series paper really bring that wow factor to the paper, and then even just that little extra detail by coloring the stamp so you have a multicolored image on your card. And again, most of it's all like your aqua color, so your island indigo, coastal cabana, there's smoky slate in here and white, and then we just got that little pop of that red and that green on our card. So there's our first one. And then now let me bring in the second one. Now the second one is, it's an interesting card. It's an interesting color combination. The color, again, this is a card that I did see on Pinterest, but I did change it up using different colors, and then they used like an embossing folder that I don't have, so so I didn't use an embossing folder for that one particular panel. But so the color combination inspiration for this card, um, I I had recently purchased the upgraded, updated color cubes. So before, let's see, last year I purchased volumes 1 and 2, and then this year, just recently, she updated volumes 1 and 2, and then she also included volumes 3 and 4. This is something a few weeks ago. I needed to make a card. It was on my Friday Night Lives. I do a card drawing for, the people that are watching the live. At the end, I'll do like a wheel of names, and then um, whoever name comes up, they get to choose one of the 3 cards that I make. When I did that video, those cards were Halloween cards, and I understand not everybody does Halloween. So I had mentioned that if you don't do Halloween, just choose the card layout that you like, and then I will create a non-Halloween card for you. So I ended up pulling out one of the cards just to have like a color inspiration. I went out on Pinterest, looked at card sketches with, with the dimensions and the measurements, and I basically created the same card. Well, the card sketch I didn't need for that one, but I created the same card, but it was just not Halloween. I didn't use the Halloween colors. I didn't use a Halloween stamp set, and it came out really, really cute. Now, with these color cube cards, I will say they do cost a little bit of money. Um, I looked at it, hey, if I spent the money on these things, I really need to use them and not have them look really pretty behind me on my calyx unit. So I decided that when I do some of my cards, I'm going to pull one of these with a color combination that I think would look really, really neat with it. So on the front, you have your picture and then your little swatches of color. So these are all colors that are in that photograph. And then on the back, she has the name of the colors along with the hex codes for them. And then here are some like your lighter and darker shades of the color as well. So again, card number 211. This is part of the updated volume 2 box. So this is the color. When I looked at this, I was seeing either Real Red or Poppy Parade, Bermuda Bay. This one, you can go with like Parakeet Party, but I went with Granny Apple Green. And then this color looks like Petunia Pop, and then this one looks like Blackberry Bliss. It could also look like Rich Razzleberry as well. That was another color I could have went with, but didn't go with Rich Razzleberry. I went with Blackberry Bliss instead. Okay, so for my pieces with this card. So my card base is Granny Apple Green, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I have a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of Bermuda Bay. And ahead of time, I had embossed it using the Stylish Stripes Textured Impressions embossing folder. This too, way back when, this was back at a time when Sizzix was, they had made the Stampin' Up! Big Shot. They did our embossing folders and also all of our dies. So pulled that oldie in, embossed that ahead of time. Then I have a piece of Petunia Pop. This measures 4¼ by 3. Then I have a piece of Blackberry Bliss that measures 2 7/8 by 2¼ and then I have a piece of basic white that measures 2 3/4 by 2 1/8, and then a piece of the red glimmer paper. So this is our older glimmer paper. The texture is a little more coarse, but this was also the glimmer paper back at that time that, yes, the glitter kind of comes off of it. So this one was just simply called Glimmer Paper Red, but it's basically it's real red. Now we have had more glimmer paper in the red color come out, but it's been updated to where the glitter does not come off of the paper, so it's much cleaner to use that. But yeah, again, I have this stash of this retired stuff, so yeah, I should use it. So that's what I'm going with. And of course, I'm going to have some red little glitter flakes all over the place. All right, so for my card base, I'm going to fold and burnish this. Okay, and then I am going to take my my red glimmer paper, add some adhesive to this, and then I am going to center that on my piece of Petunia Pop, so try and get that centered. And this is going to go from one end to the other, and it looks like I trimmed it just a teeny tiny bit short, but you can't really notice the Petunia Pop showing on the edges. Now what I want to do is take this piece and I want to adhere this to my Bermuda Bay piece. Center that on here like so. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in for my ribbon. This is the Coastal Cabana and Granny Apple Green reversible ribbon. So one side you can see has the Coastal Cabana, and on the edging you see both the Granny Apple Green and the Coastal Cabana. And when you flip it over, there's the Granny Apple Green, and then you see that Coastal Cabana and Granny Apple Green on the edging. So for this, I want my Granny Apple Green to face up. So I'm going to cut a piece of this. And I'm going to do the same thing like what I did with the other one. I'm going to cut it and then wrap it around and tape it. Move that out of the way. Get my tape. Okay, and then we're going to center this on my glimmer paper like so. And we'll wrap this around. Add my tape. Okay, and wrap it around. Okay, kind of pull that taut and add my tape to hold it down. Okay, and then I'm going to take my seal and we're going to adhere this down to my card base. Okay, center that. like so. So again, it's an interesting color combination, but I think it looks kind of cool. So we got 2 more parts to add to this. So my Blackberry Bliss, that's going to kind of go over all of this. I'm going to set that aside though, and I'm going to bring in my white piece here. What I want to do is I am going to use, this is a 3/16 inch corner rounder punch. Let me make sure I got the right name here. Hold on. 3/16 corner rounder punch. Now this particular punch, I do not know if this was a Stampin' Up punch or if this was what was our scrapbook project life, because I think there was a corner rounder punch that came out when we were selling the project life products. So I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that I bought this punch quite a few years ago, and so I'm just going to round all my corners like so. Cute little punch. And then let me get rid of all those little bits. Okay, and now I'm going to do some stamping on this piece. So I'm going to get some scrap paper here, put that on there. Now I want, from my stamp set, I want my tree. I want these little decorative, they could be like ornaments or something for our tree. I want the snowflake, and then I want the greeting that says, wishing you the warmth and wonder of the season. Okay, so let me get some blocks here. Want to take my greeting piece. Now, I did have the stickers on this, but these were the cling stickers. And yeah, after a while they don't stick to the block very well, and then they would just fall off. So I find that if I just remove the sticker, then that foam will stick to my block pretty well. Now what I've done with my greeting, I have looked at the bottom of the greeting and kind of line it up with the bottom edge of my block. So when I go to stamp, as long as I have this edge straight, then my greeting should stamp straight where I want it. Okay, and then let me get another block for my tree, like so. Okay, and then we have little ornaments here. So our little dots. That kind of lined up on there. And then we got our little snowflake. We'll put that on there. Okay, so the color ink that I'm going to use for this, I'm going to use my Blackberry Bliss for my greeting. I'm going to use my Bermuda Bay Stamped Off to do my snowflakes. My real red is going to be for these little ornaments that I'm going to stamp over my tree, and then my tree is going to be in Granny Apple Green. So I'm going to start off with my greeting. Stamp that first. Let's see. Make sure we got it facing the right way. And you can tell it's very inky. So I'm going to line this up. Again, I'm going to look at where the bottom of the stamp is. And then I'm also going to make sure that the bottom edge of my block is straight as well. And then it's straight. Now it's going to lighten up a little bit as it dries, but Blackberry Bliss is a very dark color, so if you look at it you wouldn't think that it's a really dark purple, but it is. It is one of my favorite purples. purple is my #1 favorite color, and then blues and aquas are a very, very close second. All right, and then I'm going to take my tree. I'm going to ink that up. Make sure I got any glitter. There's no glitter on there. So we'll ink that up. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp that kind of like right over my greeting, like so. Like so. Then I'm going to close this up. Then I'm going to bring in my real red and get my stamp that has these little dots on it. Ink that up. And then I'm just going to kind of line it up and stamp that down like so. And then I'm going to bring in my Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to ink up my snowflake. And I'm going to stamp off. Let me see what it looks like when I do it 3 times. Okay, I may do that 3 times. 2. Okay, so stamp off, off, and then I'm going to randomly put these snowflakes on my background. Just add a couple more. Okay, and we'll add one more, kind of like up there, like so. Okay. So there is a little stamped image. Move that out of the way, and then I'm going to adhere this to my Blackberry Bliss piece. So there's just going to be this little tiny border around this. And we'll center this like so. Okay, so we got that right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this up. So I'm going to add, since I got that ribbon in the middle there, I am not going to add anything in the middle. And I'll just put a couple at the top and the bottom here. Okay, and then let's bring in our card. And then we will center this right over our glimmer paper and our ribbon, like so. And then for this too, I'm going to bring in my rhinestones, and this time I'm going to use the 3 different sizes. So you have a large one, and I got red glitter all over the place. We'll add one there. So again, there's 3 different sizes on this, so I'm going to use each one. And then let's see, one of our smaller ones will go right over here. Okay, so there is our second card. Again, I cased this card, you know, basically the layout. The only thing is that I changed up is I did use some different colors on this, and I based all my colors off of this Color Cube card number 211. So this is from the new set in volume 2. And yeah, so there is there is my card inspired by that color combination. So let me bring in the first card that we made. So this one are very simple. Use the designer series paper, and then we colored our stamp to stamp our image and then punch it out. So I like the aquas with that pop of red on there. So if you, I thank you so much for taking the time to stop by and watch this episode of Throwback Thursday. Uh, every Thursday, I have a pre-recorded video. Usually that pre-recorded video is posted at 5 a.m. Central Time every week. Like I said, it's been one of those weeks where yeah, I just couldn't get it done in time, but technically Thursday night I still got it done. Um, so here it is. So hopefully the rest of the month, I will have them posted now. The last Thursday of the month here in November, here in the US is Thanksgiving. So I will have that video all done. It'll be pre-recorded and it'll be scheduled to post that morning. Um, Fridays, so tomorrow for my Friday Night Live, I will be featuring the new Gingerbread Man bundle. So this is a bundle that is in our current holiday mini catalog. Super cute. You can add, there's actually a die, a stamp and a die in there that you can actually make a gingerbread man shaped card. So that's going to be one of the projects that I end up doing tomorrow night. Hope that you can join us. We do have a nice fun bunch that come along in the chat box while I'm live. Wonderful ladies and gent, and hope that you can join it. Now, when I do my card drawings, it doesn't matter where in the world that you live. Cards I can mail, products I cannot send outside of the US. So if you would like to join us and participate in that again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, in order to win one of the cards, you do have to be present at the end when I go to do the drawing. Um, and with that, if you like the projects that I have made, please give the video a thumbs up. And then also consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the little notification bell. It'll let you know when I have posted a video or when I'm going live. Um, the liking, the sharing, the comments, I do answer all the comments that I do receive. Also on my channel, I think with this video, hold on, I am at, I believe I am at like 309 videos, including this one. Let me see, 30. Yes, with this video, this will be video number 309. So my videos go back since September of 2023, I want to say. Yeah, because my lives started in January of 2024. So there's lots of video content out there. My Friday night lives or my Friday night kinda lives, I do create PDFs of the projects that I make. There's pictures, there's dimensions, there's a list of supplies that I used on those cards. And then there's also a link that takes you to my Google Drive to where um, you can download it, you can print it out, and then I also have in that PDF, there's also a link that's embedded in the date, and that will actually bring you right back to the video that I did using those products. And those are free. To find those, just go to one of my Friday Night Lives, and it's that last paragraph right up just above the list of supplies. Also in the description of my videos, there's also a link if you would like to receive my monthly newsletter. Typically, my newsletters only go out once a month at near the beginning, unless Stampin' Up! Has some kind of special promotion that they come out with later on in the month that I didn't know about ahead of time. We don't always know what they're going to do. So I send another modified one out to keep you informed as to what's happening. Also, in my newsletter, I do have a whole video schedule of what I'm going to use for the whole month. So I list out all of the stamp sets or the bundles or the suites that I may use for my Throwback Thursdays and what I may use for my Friday Night Lives. So if you're interested in that, again, there is a link for that in the description. If you click on that, all you have to do is put your first and last name along with your email address, and then you'll be kind of like in my list. And then when I go to send out the next one, I will send it out to you. Um, with that, I think that's all that I have, everyone. Again, I'll be live tomorrow night if you would like to join us. As far as any announcements, I'll probably have a few more that I will let you know about at the very beginning. And again, if you like the projects that I have made in this episode, please uh, give the video a thumbs up and then also consider subscribing. Again, all of this stuff, it does help me not only in growing this YouTube channel, it kind of puts me out there for other paper crafters to see what I'm doing. And then it also helps me in growing my Stampin' Up! Business as well. And all of that is like truly, truly appreciated. So until next time, everyone, again, thank you so much for stopping by and watching my video, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.